Hello, and welcome to episode 118 of Prog Review. And if you haven't read the description, I'm talking about Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors by a certain Mr. Derek William Dick, or Mr. Fish, as you might know him. The vocalist with Marillion, because we're doing Marillion kind of week. We're doing a number of Marillion related reviews because Marillion have got a new album out, so I'm kind of doing that. But yes, Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors, it was the first solo album from Mr. Fish after he left the band in 1988, I believe it was. I remember it well. I remember exactly how it all happened. I remember Marillion having Season's End out before him. I remember there being a lot of speculation of what was going to happen. I remember State of Mind coming out on single. Got the 12-inch picture disc. Listened to it, thought it was good. Didn't do anything with the chart. I remember it coming out in January 1990, the album, and listening to that and further releases. And it was a very interesting time. What with the Season's End, I liked that album. And I also like this album, so I was kind of split. One of the notable things about Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors is it has the very familiar album artwork by Mark Wilkinson, who used to do the album artwork for Marillion. So he got the artist, whilst Marillion got the songs, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I like the artwork. That was all part of the thing. But the actual album itself was a strange affair, because it sounded to me like he had a Marillion cover band working for him. I mean, that sounds a bit unfair. I mean, if you get Clutching at Straws, the expanded edition, there are a number of tracks on there a number of songs on there, lyrics that end up on this album. So you kind of hear them being done by Marillion, and then you can hear him done in his solo form. And he hadn't quite slipped the shackles of his previous band. I mean, it starts off with the song Vigil, i.e. Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors. It's a long song, it builds up, it's quite punchy. It sounds very reminiscent of Clutching at Straws era Marillion. The one issue I do have about the album is the production. It's very kind of 80s production, very bombastic, very in your face sort of thing, which I've never really gotten over. Also, there's an awful lot of lyrics. He's been given free rein to spray lots of verbiage onto the record, so that can be a bit heavy going. And this is followed by Big Wedge, which was released as a single, and it's Fish's rant against consumer culture. He's very much shooting fish in a barrel with this one, pardon the pun. And it's all right. It was a good single. I quite liked it at the time. Listening back to it, it all comes across as a little bit, a little bit passé and a little bit sixth form in its attitude, very simplistic way of looking at things. But this is followed by State of Mind. Now, I remember when the single came out, I quite liked it. It's not an obvious single. It's not, it doesn't scream hit, but there's something about it. I like the way it was paced. I like the sentiment of it, because it's a political song, and I quite enjoyed it in those days. This is followed by a track called The Company. Again, this was a favourite of mine because it's almost like a drinking song, Scottish drinking song, folk song kind of thing to it, where he's singing about the company and being part of that system. It's almost like a pointed attack at Marillion, being part of that group. Well, it's not really about them. Well, it might be about them, I don't know. Who knows what was going on, but it's about being part of a group and not wanting to be part of a group, success by donning the old school tie, that kind of thing. And this is followed by A Gentleman's Excuse Me. Now, when Fish does his ballads, my brain checks out. It goes, bye bye Darren, I'm not listening to this. And that's the same for A Gentleman's Excuse Me. I'm sure it's very nice, but I hit the skip button. It was released as a single as well, and I don't think it did anything. Probably my favourite track of the album is The Voyeur. Open parentheses, I like to watch. Close parentheses. He should have just called it I like to watch. And in this day and age of multi-channel television and the internet, this song was kind of a bit of ahead of its time. It's about people, people who live their lives vicariously through the TV screen, and there's lots of name checks to Hungerford and Lockerbie and that kind of thing. Very much a product of its time, but I like it. Again, could have been a Marillion song. It's punchy, gets to the point, and I think it was a very good song. I think it was released as a single. I don't know. Maybe it was a B-side. I'm not sure. I'd have to analyse that, wouldn't I? This is followed by Family Business, which appeared on the Clutching at Straws demos as a Story from a Thin Wall. A lovely song about abuse. I can't remember if it's child abuse or a woman being abused by a partner. I know they're not happy. It's not a happy song. It's a bit unhappy. And the person on the other side of the wall wants to be the knight in shining armour. It wasn't a good idea when he brought it up with Marillion. It wasn't a good idea here. Family Business, not for me, thank you. And then we have View from the Hill. Yes. Which appears on the Clutching at Straws double CD as Sunset Hill. Well, the lyrics in a different format. The same themes are explored, but it's slightly lyrically different. I quite like this one. Again, it's that thing about being sold into a system, because when we're born, we're innocent, and as we go through life, we're told to, get the education, go to university, get the car, get the insurance policy, get the 9-to-5 job, get married, have kids, and then die. And that's the hill, and we've got to have the fastest car, the biggest telly, whatever, the nicest guitars. We're all victims of it. And that's what the View from the Hill was about. It's about feeling cheated, buying a view on the hill, and when you get there, it's just as bad as where you've been. I like it. It's a good song. And then we got Cliche at the end, and I don't know. I think they should have View from the Hill as the last track of the album, and Cliche should have been up in the track listing. It's all right. It's too long. I just find it a bit dull. That's that. So yeah, as an album, I really liked it at the time, but I gave it a listen before I did this, and it has. I don't think it's aged very well. It sounds again, if you listen to Season's End, it sounds very much like Marillion. And it doesn't sound like it's aged at all. It just sounds like a Marillion album. Where's this? I think the production is just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me in places. It's like, draw comparisons with Bob Ezrin's production on Peter Gabriel's first album. It's like that. And again, I don't think the right producer or that was really put in with him. But it's not a bad album. I think a couple of the tracks could be dropped, and it could have been more refined. It could have been a much purer experience. So I've got to give it I've got to give it a rating now. Oh God, don't know what to do, because my heart wants to go back to the 19-year-old who was listening to this, who really dug it. But that's my heart wants me to that. My head tells me I should be talking about this jaded old who, I'll quack that out. This jaded old person who wants to give it a lower rating because it's a bit embarrassing now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fall in between. I'm gonna go right in between. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 cliches out of 5. That's 3.5 cliches out of 5, because the 19-year-old would give it 4 stars, or 4 cliches, or whatever you want to call it, and cynical Darren wants to give it 3. So I'm going in between 3.5. Can't say no fairer than that. But at least it's not as bad as Internal Exile, which is the next one up. I've not been a big fan of Fish's solo career, unfortunately, so I'm sorry. So that's it. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been burbling on about Fish's Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors, released in 1990, his first post-Marillion solo album. You've been a patient audience. Remember, social media, tickle my Twitter, sit on my Facebook, play with my Google+. And that's it. Only one more thing to say.